Okay, this is my report for day 4. This is actually the morning of day 5. I went to bed kind of early last night and I wasn't able to get on and do a little synopsis of my experience on day 4, but I figured I'd chronicle it early this morning and then I'll jump on later this evening for day 5, hopefully. So, let's see. The most interesting thing about day 4 was didn't exercise. I did a lot of activities that were physical, moving stuff up to my attic, getting up and down on the ladder. And I just had a lot of stuff to do, and exercising kind of would have taken up too much time in my estimation. So I forego that in lieu of getting a lot of stuff done. And I just juiced all day. I do remember experiencing some real hunger. But the most interesting thing to me on day 4 was that Gary came over, and when he got here, I made myself a really radical, good big tomato juice, and I had that. I also had hot chocolate, and I had hot chocolate the night before, and that's the Swiss Miss packs, so I've done that twice. I've also put honey in my tea, a couple times, black tea with some honey, and that's cheating, but that's what I've been doing. Full disclosure. And so anyway, so I had my nice big tomato juice, and and I was good to go. I mean, I really was. We watch all these YouTube videos, and there's this guy called Survival Russia. I really like him a lot, YouTuber in Russia, and he had a video of one of his neighbors making cookies, and they're made with cucumber brine and sugar and all the usual suspects, oil, flour. They're basically like tea cakes. I'm sure they're very tasty, but she cooked them, baked them in a brick oven, like a real genuine like house oven, brick stove, and it's very interesting to watch the way she did them. I'm sure they were delicious, but they were really just sweet biscuits. But it's interesting. The reason I wanted to mention it was because how, when I'm fasting, how food and the preparation of food, it becomes just the most sweet and like the most magnificent entertainment just to watch somebody cooking something with ingredients. And you look at everything that they put in there and you're just like, oh, look at that. Oh, that's so wonderful. And that's a really good thing, to really be in a state of appreciation about food, and to savor, to be in that really, oh wow, if I could just one day, and I was thinking one day I'm going to make some almond cookies, and I'm going to sit down, and because they're in Russia, they sat down at the end with, they actually had this raw honey that she ladled into a dish, and fresh, you could tell, fresh homemade strawberry jam, and her strong Russian tea. And, just to look at that as like a tea time, I love tea time. It's just like one day I can do that. That will be so magnificent. That'll be so much fun. And whether I do it or not is another story. But it's just it's a good kind of fresh way to approach an everyday experience. And then after that, Gary chose to watch the guy Survival Russia make baked beans and homemade bread. And he had a really great way of making this bread, where he, scored it with a knife on the top, like 6 ways. And that way, when it rose, it came out in like pieces, so you could just tear it off in a nice piece. It was really nice. And once again, he cooked it in his own house wood-fired oven, and he then he made baked beans. And when he put the molasses, no, it wasn't molasses, no, it was maple syrup in there, and the mustard, and the honey, and the sauteed onions, it was just like, oh, look at that. And I love baked beans. I'll make baked beans. I hope I will make baked beans because they were so delicious. They take like 4 hours to cook. I think they do even in a conventional stove. But he did it in this wood-fired oven, and it just, and then the bread was ready, and he tore off a piece of this big bread, and the other interesting thing is that I had no desire to rush to the kitchen and eat food because I just, you know, I'm too far away from that at this point. I'm cruising. I'm really just cruising, just just down, very easily in my habit. I'm not hungry most of the time, and if I am, I just have some juice. And every once in a while, yesterday I remember having a juice, like, I think it was my tomato juice, and also yeah, I made this big green with melon and pineapple, and I'd mix them together, and just so good. And you know often when I have juice, I'll just say, oh, that's so good. So I'm on day 5 now. As the numbers get bigger and I move into this, my resolve strengthens, and the fact that I'm doing it. I got on the scale this morning, I was 130.2. I haven't even broken 130 yet, which I remember when I was gaining weight when I broke 130. Yeah, I did that. So now you got to go back, retrace your steps and break the other way through that barrier, which I'm very confident in the next 6 days, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 days of juicing, I will break 130, which is magnificent. That's really great. And I'll probably get down to like 127, 128 probably, like there, 128, I guess. And it's a miracle. It really is that I could do that quickly, because I was headed up to like 136, 137. So we're talking 8-9 pound loss in several months, which is what's required when you gain it. You gotta just turn around and go the other way. And juice fasting is in my investigation, for me personally, it's the best way to retrace my steps and get back. And I'm feeling really good in my clothes. Oh, the other thing I remember yesterday, as I was taking the boxes up to the attic, sometimes I'd be walking through the yard, and one naturally gets a bit of swagger in your hips when you have that good muscle action. I'm starting to see definition in my thighs. I'm using a rubber band when I exercise to do resistance training, and it's really targeting my upper thighs. And one of my goals, and I can see it as as I'm getting more definition, that I hope I will be able to do this, is to actually have really good definition in my thighs, which will help me with my Aikido, because I need really strong legs when I do Aikido, because you gotta do your rolls and you gotta jump right back up. So that's it for today, and I will put it on my schedule to check back in later tonight after I experience day 5, to give in a report for my day 5 of juicing on my 10-day juice fast, April 2020.